From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide News this Thursday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, the coronavirus situation at a Billings long-term care facility is just getting worse. Today, Yellowstone County health authorities announced the virus has claimed 3 lives at Canyon Creek Memory Care Center. 2 women died yesterday and a man died this morning. This comes after a 2-day total confirmed cases at the facility reached 66 residents and employees. Now, these deaths as state health authorities report a record 96 new confirmed COVID-19 cases across the state. 46 of those in Yellowstone County, from all age ranges. Well, Lake County has the next highest number at 14. Today's 96 confirmed cases bring the state total to 594 active cases. And again, 3 more people died in Yellowstone County yesterday and today, bringing the state total to 26 deaths. In Wyoming, a Laramie County man passed away while battling the virus. State health officials say he had no pre-existing conditions, putting him at a higher risk. His passing marks the 21st death in Wyoming. Currently, 360 people had the virus there after 27 new cases were reported yesterday. And meanwhile, an employee at the Yellowstone County 911 Emergency Dispatch Center in Billings has also contracted the virus. Health leaders say the person did not get the virus from anyone at work. The employee is quarantined at home, but no other dispatchers are being quarantined. The Billings Fire Department will continue to monitor staff, follow CDC guidelines, and restrict access to the center. Well, in court news, the man charged with tearing a 10 Commandments statue out of the ground in front of the Flathead County Courthouse says he's not guilty. Anthony Weimer of Columbia Falls was released on his own recognizance and charged with felony criminal mischief. He could face up to 10 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. Weimer's jury trial is set for October 19th. Authorities say he wrapped chains around the monument, then dragged it into the middle of the street behind his pickup truck. Officials say he hasn't been linked to any local protest groups. Well, the Supreme Court says President Trump must release his tax returns and financial records. Now, that ruling triggering a furious series of tweets from the White House today, where the president complained the rulings are a political persecution and not fair to the presidency. Skylar Henry reports.
President Trump's years-long battle to keep his financial records secret culminated in today's Supreme Court ruling. In 2 separate opinions, with the justices splitting 7-2, the court ruled the president can block the release of his records to Congress, returning the case to the lower courts. But the High Court upheld New York prosecutors' demand for the president's tax returns, which Mr. Trump had been fighting.
We're fighting all the subpoenas. Look, these aren't like impartial people.
3 committees in the Democratic-controlled House and New York prosecutors demanded the president hand over his tax returns, along with other personal financial information. The court heard more than 3 hours of arguments in May.
There is a long, long history of Congress seeking records and getting them.
At some point, there's a straw that breaks the camel's back.
President Trump's lawyers called the subpoenas overreach, arguing the president is immune from criminal prosecution while he's in office.
The presidency is being harassed.
The Manhattan District Attorney's Office had subpoenaed 8 years of President Trump's personal and corporate tax returns as part of its investigation into hush money payments made to 2 women during the 2016 presidential campaign. In both opinions, President Trump's appointees, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, joined the majority. Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito dissented. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Now, in that New York case, because the tax returns were subpoenaed for a confidential grand jury investigation, it is unlikely those records will become public anytime soon. Well, a Billings judge strikes a blow against a Montana law restricting how mail ballots can be gathered, siding with a coalition of tribes and Native American advocacy groups. They argued the rule passed by voters in 2018 suppressed Native voters. The July 7th order, a preliminary injunction, doesn't bring a lawsuit filed by the Native groups to a definitive end, but it does indicate the judge believes the groups are likely to win their case, and it keeps the state government from enforcing the Ballot Interference Prevention Act while that litigation is pending. Democratic candidate for Governor Mike Cooney has been officially cited for violating state law. Back in April, Lieutenant Governor made a campaign-related call from his office at the Capitol. Montana's Commissioner of Political Practices says Cooney must pay $1,000 for the violation. Cooney's campaign confirmed quote, he was in his office for the call, but he used a personal laptop and no state equipment. However, state law prohibits the use of that office for political purposes. More details are emerging about the victims and investigation into a Corvallis apartment fire that took 3 lives earlier this week. Shortly after 2 a.m. Monday, fire crews responded to the fire on Main Street. Ravalli County Sheriff's Office says 3 people, a 27-year-old woman, a 32-year-old man, and a 53-year-old man, all died in the fire. A 57-year-old woman is still hospitalized after suffering significant burn and trauma injuries from jumping out a second-story window. Now, the investigation is ongoing as search warrants and samples from the fire scene have been submitted and completed. Investigators are asking for anyone with information to contact them, as they say any suspicious behavior or observations of potential suspect activity could be crucial. Well, it's time now to check in on the weather scene with meteorologist Ed McIntosh, and we're going to look high into the sky, way out.
Way out in the sky. We're going to go beyond weather for this time around and take a look because you have a chance to see a comet visible in the early morning sky. And in fact, here are a few pictures thanks to John McNeil, and share these from around the Billings area. I'll give you a second. You try to pick out where you see that comet up there into the early morning sky. Around an hour to 2 hours before sunrise is really the best time to look up towards the north. There's, you could almost pick it out. In some cases, it's just going to look like a fuzzy star out there. But if you use binoculars or a telescope, you'll be able to see it a lot more clearly, see the tail up there. And if you decide you want to try to take photos, make sure you use a tripod and set for maybe a 5 to 10 second exposure. Come back and take a look at forecast details in a little bit.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Well, Montana is apparently a great state to be after the pandemic is over. Business Insider, a business website, has listed 3 Montana cities among the 17 best cities in the western U.S. to live after coronavirus. Missoula ranks the highest of the Montana cities at number 7. Great Falls comes in at number 10 and Billings at number 16, right above Santa Fe, New Mexico. The number 1 city in the western U.S. to move is Logan, Utah. Now, factors for the list include the pre-coronavirus unemployment rate, cost of living, and housing affordability. Well, ahead on your noon news, we'll bring you a bird's eye view of 600 acres that wildlife officials want to add for your enjoyment. The time now is 12:07, but first, Ed's in next with your statewide weather forecast.